So, in the case of fish preservation, we have to first understand what is fish preservation. Here you can see that preservation means keeping the fish in a condition wholesome. Wholesome means very healthy. Keeping the fish in a healthy condition and fit for human consumption. Human consumption means fish animal organism will be taken by animals. Animals have a different type of digestive system, and they will be, for example, dogs will be eating so many food items. If we are going to eat all those food items, we will be having diarrhea and many other problems. So we cannot take all the food items many animals like carnivorous animals are eating, because their digestive system and alimentary canal are somewhat slightly different. They have better maybe adaptation for fighting different type of stomach infections. So that is why preservation means keeping the fish in a healthy condition fit for human consumption for short period. Short period means days or weeks or months, or for a longer period, sometimes years. There are certain type of preservation methods like canning, etc., where we can keep the fish for a longer time. Okay, so that is the meaning of the term, how we will be defining preservation. And during the period of preservation, fish is kept as fresh as possible. That is one important challenge of preservation. So we can, because sometimes when you buy fish from the market, you know that it tastes different. It may not be having any fresh taste. It will be losing its normal taste, normal smell. Everything will be different. Sometimes these people put too much of ice, or sometimes they will also add some formalin, which are quite harmful and dangerous. So that will be completely changing the taste and quality of the fish. Even though we may be spending a lot of money on that, the fish that we are taking home may not be good after when we are cooking and start eating it. So that is why to keeping the fish in a condition as fresh as possible. Then what are the challenges? Minimum loss of flavor. Flavor means the entire smell, etc. That's all the taste. Taste is another part. Then form. Form means you know that the fish is slightly decomposed, partially decayed. You know, if you touch the fish, it will be appearing more softer. So that is the form. Then nutritive value. A fish will be having higher amount of proteins, minerals, vitamins. Everything will be in a higher amount. Whereas the fish is slightly decomposed or decayed, the amount of these proteins may not be in good quantity. Then similarly the weight as well as digestibility of the flesh. Digestibility of the flesh means if we are eating a fresh fish, after cooking, maybe most of the time we will not be having any kind of problem. But if we are eating a partially decayed or partially spoiled fish, what happens is that sometimes it can cause stomach infection. Sometimes it can cause diarrhea or other type of intestinal problem. So that is the digestibility of the flesh. So these are the important challenges that we are facing when we are preserving a fish. Then there are many regions in the world where preservation is not necessary. For example, you go to Iceland or Arctic countries or Siberia or many parts of Russia or many northern parts of Canada, etc. There, most of the time, it will be permanently covered with ice. Most of the Arctic areas and Antarctic areas are like that. So, in Arctic zones, landed fish means the fish that we have captured and kept on the land, is rapidly means very fast, rapidly frozen due to extreme climate. Because the environmental temperature, because there are many parts of Siberia where the normal temperature may be below minus 30, sometimes minus 40. You can see that even if you just move out, even our eyelids become frozen into ice. So that would be the severity of the climate in several areas of Arctic and Siberia. So in such areas, we don't need to do anything to preserve the fish. You kill the fish will be in that situation for many days or sometimes thousands of years. You have, we might have known about that unearthing of this mammoth. Mammoth means elephant-like organism, which are fossils. Even the holy mammoth, there is an animal called holy mammoth. From Siberian area, the scientists have excavated this holy mammoth in almost fresh, almost in without any kind of decay. In a temperate climate also need for preservation is so not so pressing because fish can pressing means not so demanding because fish can remain fresh for a few days without preservation. Temperate countries means countries like UK or most of the European countries are in the temperate zone. In temperate zone, if you just take the temperature of UK, that will be below 20 degree most of the time, maybe 10 degree, sometimes 5 degree. So the chance that the fish gets spoiled means decayed, is very little. So in such areas of the world, even if you are not doing any preservative methods, the fish will be remaining there for several days. So that is another advantage of temperate country. They don't need to spend a lot of money on preservation. But that is not the case in, for example, we are living in a tropical country. We keep the fish collected and we are not adding any salt or other thing. After the 4 or 5 years, we can see that the fish started spoiling. So spoilage or decay of the fish will start very fast in a tropical country like Kerala or a country like India or other tropical countries. But in tropical countries like India, the spoilage means decay or decomposition. In Malayalam we call chiya. So this spoilage of the fish take place very rapidly. So fish must be preserved soon after landing. Landing means we collected the fish, kept it on a basket or land. So that is the meaning of the landing. Then fish preservation helps in maintaining steady supply of fish in the market throughout. This is one important need or advantage because we are living in a state like Kerala. In certain months of the year, like during the June, July months, it will be heavy rain, and most of the time fishermen may not be able to go to the open sea, so they may not be able to collect enough amount of fish. So during those time, if we are not preserving the fish, there will be extreme shortage of fish. So nowadays, what fish farmers are doing is that they are growing fish in aquacultural farm so that they can ensure that there is a year-round supply of the fish. But unless we are engaging in some kind of fish preservation, what happens is that we will not be able to maintain a steady supply of fish in the market throughout the year. So that is one advantage of fish preservation. So all processes which inhibit fish spoilage, such as refrigeration, curing, dehydration, pickling, smoking, chemical preservation. So these are the different methods which we are normally used in case of fish preservation. Now we will see how these different types of preservation methods are working. So first coming to the first one, that is a refrigeration. Refrigeration, you know that keeping the fish in a refrigerator. We have two compartments in a refrigerator. The main part of the refrigerator will be usually having a temperature of 6 degree, sometimes 4 degree. That will be the normal temperature. In most modern refrigerator, they will have separate indicators for that. And inside the freezer, it will be 0. There are some refrigerator where the temperature can be lowered up to -70. So such a type of refrigerators are not commonly available. So at the room temperature, autolysis. There is a term called autolysis. Autolysis means in every cell there are enzymes are there. You have studied about lysosomes. So these lysosomes will be containing lot of enzymes. So after the death of the fish, what happens is that this lysosome inside the cells will be ruptured or broken down. They will be releasing these enzymes into the cell, and that will be causing what is called No, wow, that will be damaging the cell, and cells will be rapidly splitting, rupturing. So this process is, and we also known it as enzymatic decay of the cell. Autolysis means is caused by release of enzymes from the lysosome. So it is a well-known that adenosine phosphatase is an active at normal room temperature, causing rapid breakdown of ATP and ADP into adenine and adenosine. So you have studied about ATP and ADP. There are certain enzymes called adenosine phosphatase. They are all present within the lysosome part of the cell, and then when the lysosome is breaking down, these enzymes will be released into the cytoplasm, and they will be damaging this ATP and ADP. So this is how the cells become ruptured. Cells become ruptured, or the fish gets spoiled. So this kind of fish spoilage caused by the release of enzymes within the cell is known as autolysis. So there are two methods by which the fish are normally spoiled. One is by enzymatic spoilage. And this enzymatic decay or enzymatic spoilage is known by the name autolysis. It is not caused by any bacteria outside the fish. It is caused by internal mechanism. By the release of these enzymes, this ATP, most of the components of the fish body will be gradually broken down. Then at low temperature, their activity is slowed down. So that is one advantage of refrigeration. If you are keeping the fish in a lower temperature, like a refrigerator or fridge, we can reduce this chemical process. This breaking down or the action of enzymes can be slowed down at a lower temperature. So at room temperature, lag phase of bacteria lasts for a few hours. Lag phase means that bacteria will need certain time to grow. For example, if there is only one bacteria, maybe usually after 20 minutes or 10 minutes it will be splitting into two bacteria. After another 20 minutes, that two bacteria become 4. After another 20 minutes it becomes 8. So this way it will be multiplied. So when we are reducing the temperature, this initial multiplication process will be taking place at a slower rate. For example, normally for one cell to break down into two, if it is taking 20 minutes, if you are reducing the temperature, instead of 20 minutes, it may be taking sometimes 1 hour, sometimes 2 hours. So what happens is that the bacterial multiplication process will be taking place at a very slower pace, so that number of bacteria developing in the fish will be greatly reduced. So that is the advantage of cooling the body of the fish, or keeping the fish in a lower temperature. So this process, this is known as the lag phase of the bacteria, the initial multiplication phase of the bacteria. So lowering the temperature not only retards enzyme activity, but also increases span up. So there are two methods by which refrigeration or cooling is working. One is that it will be slowing down the enzymatic decay. The second process is that it will be also reducing the multiplication rate of bacteria. Bacteria needs more time to multiply. Instead of 20 minutes, it may be taking 2 hours. So that way we can extend the normal shelf life of the fish for a longer period. At 0 degrees centigrade, lag phase is extended to several days. So that is the advantage. So normally the bacterial multiplication, so if you are taking a fresh fish and keeping it here, maybe after 5 hours or 6 hours or 10 hours, we can see that the fish gets spoiled. But if you are keeping the fish in a 0 degree, this for the spoilage, two events are needed. One is enzymatic release. If this enzymatic release is not happening, fish may not spoil. Second factor is that bacterial attack. If bacterial attack is also not taking place, fish may not get spoiled. So that is why when we are keeping the fish inside a fridge or refrigerator, what we notice that fish will remain like that, because there is nothing to cause spoilage of fish. Because enzymes are not released, the bacteria is not multiplying, so fish will be remaining in the fridge for a longer time. So this is what is happening in the use of refrigeration. So there are two mechanisms. One by retarding. Retarding means decreasing. Retarding or decreasing enzyme activity. and by increasing the length of lag phase. Lag phase means the initial multiplication rate of the bacteria or stage of the bacteria is known as the lag phase. So deep freezing or quick freezing up to minus 40 degrees destroy many strains of bacteria. So there are another method is that suddenly freezing the fish. So sometimes you might have noticed if the fish is kept in ice, there is normally there will be slight change in a frozen fish. So if you are eating a fresh fish and you are eating from another plate a frozen fish that cooked, we can notice that there is distinct difference in the taste. And in order to reduce that, nowadays what these farmers are doing is that instead of slow freezing, they will freeze the fish very fast. That is, there are certain high freezing machines are there, and these will be pumping ice, very low temperature ice into the body of the fish. Maybe that the fish will be kept, lot of ice will be coming, and the temperature of the ice will be minus 40 or minus 20. So that fish will get into a solid frozen state in a state of in a span of some 5 or 10 minutes. So this is known as a fast freezing or quick freezing. So from in a span of 5 to 10 minutes, the body of the fish will be converted from a state of 20 degrees centigrade to minus 20 degrees centigrade. So what is the advantage of is that there is no possibility of autolysis. If we are freezing the fish in a normal slow manner, there will be a certain level of autolysis. But if you are freezing the quickly, within 5 minutes you are freezing the fish, then there is absolutely no chance of autolysis. So that is the advantage of quick freezing. So quick freezing do not give back any bacteria to develop. It will be destroying all the bacteria. So quick freezing does not bring denaturation of flesh. Denaturation means when enzymes are released into the body of the fish, that will be changing the taste of them. That is why a spoiled fish will be having a different taste because of this release of enzymes into the flesh. So that process may not be taking place, and fish can be kept for a longer storage if we are quickly frozen. So that is the advantage of freezing or deep freezing. Nowadays such machines are available for deep freezing. So for example, if you go to our lab, and in that lower lab there is a refrigerator is there that can give a temperature of minus 80. So such refrigerators are available. So in that, if you keep them in those refrigerators, fish may be kept for a longer time without any kind of problem. See, this is how these are all deep freezers. This is a normal freezing. So here in this, so the fish are not uniformly covered with ice. Those areas which are covered may be well preserved. Those areas which are exposed to air may not be preserved well. Then second method is known as curing. Curing basically contains removing the water. In any curing mechanism, what we are doing is that we will be removing the water from the body of the fish. So in order for the bacteria to multiply, water should be present in the body of the fish. If there are no water, the fish will not be there is no possibility of getting a decay or decomposition. So there are multiple methods by which we can remove the water from the body of the fish. They are meant, for example, drying, sun drying. That is keeping the fish in open sun for several days. This is a method traditionally used by our fish farmers for several decades. So there is then dry salting. We are applying salt. What is the advantage of salt? Salt will be removing water from the body of the fish. There is then mechanical drying using mechanical dryers. Then brining. Brining means putting the fish in a salt water. Smoking. So in the case of smoking also we are just removing the water from the body. Pickling. Pickling means achar. So we are putting just pickling or process also. Withdrawal. So any process that remove water from the body or from the flesh of the fish is known as curing. So object of curing is to withdraw the natural water or natural moisture from the tissue cells of the fish to prevent bacterial action or enzymatic disease. So there are two methods by which normally fish is spoiled. One is bacterial damage or bacterial attack. Then second is enzymatic attack. So for both this process, water is needed. So in the absence of water, there is absolutely no possibility. So if water is not present, what happens is that the bacteria may not be able to live. And similarly, enzymes also won't be able to work. To obtain a wholesome, the term wholesome means healthy cure. Drying process should be very rapid, very fast and thorough. Thorough means deep drying, complete drying, that is the meaning. This care can be achieved by different means, application of heat, dry air, salt and pressure. The type of cure depends on the kind of fish, climate, materials available for curing, length of time for which fish is kept, and finally the requirements of the market. So here you can see this is an open sun dry. If you go to certain areas or even if you go to certain areas of the bike, you can see people are drying the fish like this. So this is a sun drying. So what is happening in sun drying is that it's a drying in the sun. It's the simplest method, traditional method, and one of the best method because nutrients are lost, not lost, minimum loss of nutrients. So that is one advantage. And a good cure is not possible because exterior of the thick tissue hardens, interior remains. So this is one problem of sun drying. Because when we are drying the fish, this outer part will get completely dry. Inner areas of the fish, they remain slightly wet. So the inner area, if it is not completely dried, there is a possibility of bacteria developing there. So that is one problem of sun drying. Then curing with the salt. The same thing, what is the purpose of curing? Withdrawing the water from the body, removing the water from the body of the fish. So that is the object of any. So in the second method, we have curing with the salt. We have dry cure and wet cure. Now in the case of dry cure, mainly used for the larger fishes, there is a common type of curing method. We will be cutting the fish into open and we are removing the gills and intestine from the fish and we are applying the salt. The salt will be applied on the body of the fish, inner parts of the body of the fish. Then we are keeping the fish for 12 to 18 hours. Then the fish is kept out and put in the sun. That is, the salt will be applied for a period of 12 to 8 for half day or on nearly 1 day. Then we are taking the fish and we will be drying in the open sun for some days. So this is the method of the dry cure. Then there is another method called wet curing. Wet curing is sometimes known as Ratnagiri method because Ratnagiri is an area in Gujarat area. They are following this kind of method. This is also 1 gram of salt is needed for every 3 kg. So how much salt is there? So here also we will be removing the intestine. So there is only slight difference. Half the quantity of the salt is rubbed on the cut surface on the first day. On the second day, the remaining salt. So this curing process or application of salt is done in 3 days. That is the case in this wet curing or Ratnagiri. Then after 3 days, the fish will be kept in this condition for 8 days. So it's a very slow process of application and the salt is applied in several days. So that is the main feature of the Ratnagiri method of curing. Then what we are seeing is the case of brining. Brining means what we are seeing in the case of brining is the fish is kept in a salt solution. Brine is basically salt. For sometimes we call seawater as a brine because seawater contains sodium chloride. So if you simply put some animals in seawater, they may not decay for some day. So brining is that we are putting fish in a salt water. That is why normally your mothers may be doing when they buy fish from the market, they apply some salt so that it will remain fresh for some time. Even if the she will be going to cook it after 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 hours, there will not be much decay. So if she forgets to do that, this simply loss of our money. So this is often found useful in association with freezing and smoking. So then there is another method called smoking. So smoking is in the case of fish, how we are doing is that first fish will be cleaned, it will be brined. Brine means putting in salt water. Then it can be exposed to cold smoking or hot smoking. There are two different types of cold smoking. One we can call cold smoking, we are using a lower temperature. Hot smoking means we are using a higher temperature. So in case of smoke, the first temperature 38 degrees raised from the smokeless fire. Smokeless fire means there is not too much smoke. That is the smokeless fire. After this, after this cold smoking, the fish is again kept below 28 degree. That is almost at the room temperature. That is a type of. Whereas what we are seeing in case of hot smoking is that we will be burning a fire and producing intense smoke, high temperature smoke of 130 degrees centigrade, and this is also followed by a lower temperature of 40 degree. So only difference is in the level of temperature. In the case of cold smoking, the lower temperature is applied of nearly 38 degree. In case of hot smoking, we are applying 130 degree as a temperature. Then here you can see how cold smoking is conducted. This is the method of cold smoking. So it's almost a smokeless fire. Then other is the hot smoking. Also you can see that. So hot smoking will be using a temperature of 138 degrees centigrade. Cold smoking will be using a temperature of 38 degrees centigrade. So this is the two different methods by which we are actually smoking the fish. So what are the atmosphere? This is also another setup, a smoke house. So we will be putting the fish in kind of these ropes like that, and we will be applying smoke the fish. For example, if anybody is from Lakshadweep area, they are doing this smoking process because there is one advantage of smoked fish, because smoke has a phenol content. Here you can see that the phenol content of the smoke acts as an antiseptic. So antiseptic means something that prevents the growth of bacteria. So phenol in the smoke prevents the growth of bacteria. And second is that a fish that is smoked has a slightly different taste. In Lakshadweep, Maldives, and many areas in those many islands, this smoked fish is very popular. Then this is smokehouse setup. Then pickling. In case of pickling, what we are seeing is that it's a normal traditional method of putting the fish in salt water, just like the normal household char making process is there. This is known as a pickling. So what we are doing is that we are doing vinegar. Vinegar is acetic acid. We will be also applying a lot of salt. So what advantage is that when we are putting in a salt solution like this, the water which is present in the body of the fish will be removed, and when we are adding vinegar, vinegar is an acidic solution that will be giving a different taste. That is why pickle that we are using has a slightly different taste, and pickle remains fresh for a longer time. So that process is known as the pickling, and pickling can be also used in case of fish also. So this is the last one, that is a canning. So canning is so you may have noticed that this is the process of canning. Nowadays this kind of canned tuna may be available in the market. Maybe the cost may be 150, 140 or 160. So what is the advantage of canned is that a canned tuna can remain in that condition for several years, maybe 2 years, 3 years or 4 years. So how the canning process is conducted? Here you can see that the entire process is given in a nutshell. What we do is that first the tuna will be cut into clean neat pieces. It will be there, and this tuna will be taken and kept into this kind of small cans. Then after that, what they are doing is that they will be closing the can. Okay, closing the can with the airtight lid. Then and they will be putting it in a pressure cooker like device. Then they will be using that pressure cooker like device. They will be applying very high temperature and pressure. So what will happen is that any bacteria that will be present in this can will be killed because of high temperature and pressure. So once all the bacteria are killed, there is absolutely no possibility for the fish to decay. So this is the principle of canning. We are killing all the bacteria and we are keeping the bottle airtight, keeping the can airtight. This process, this method will be quite effective if there is no possibility for the entry of any further bacteria into the can. So that means the success of the method depends on the success of sealing. How effective this sealing process is done. So that if you look at the canned flow, they are tightly sealed. There's absolutely no possibility for air to enter. If there is an air possibility for air to enter, then what happens is that the bacterial attack will be there. So advantage is that we can keep the fish like this for several years, and canned tuna, you may have known, have a slightly different taste. So how we are doing is that we are not simply keeping the fish in a uncooked situation. This meat will be first cooked. That is, we will be cooking the meat of the fish first. After cooking only, we are introducing the fish into the bottle. So during the cooking process, most of the bacteria present in the meat will be destroyed. Then we are again cooking. A second cook. 2 times we are doing the cooking. First step, it's normal way cooking. Second is after canning it, we are again applying a higher temperature so that all the bacteria will be destroyed. And there will not be any enzymes also, because after the application of 100°, all the enzymes in the flesh will be destroyed. So there is no possibility for bacterial spoilage, no possibility for enzymatic spoilage. So the meat or fish meat will remain that for several years. So this is the method of canning. Then we are using certain types of chemicals like antibiotics. Nowadays you may have heard about the prawns are given antibiotic treatment, so they will remain. So aureomycin is a common antibiotic that is used. Then there are certain chemicals like phenolic compound, that cresol, pyrogalal, etc. They are used. Then vitamin C is used as well. So all these are chemicals. Sometimes chemical ice will be sodium nitrate is used. Purpose is to extend the length of the shelf life, so that the fish can be kept in a normal condition, in an undecayed condition for a longer time. That method is known as a chemical preservation. So this is an overview of different types of method that we are using for the preservation. And you should expect this also for examination, because this can be a possible essay question because in many question paper I have seen what are the different methods for fish preservation.